Hi, in this video tutorial I'll show you how to connect your code for database and GUI. For GUI we're going to use javafx. This is one way of connecting the classes. In this example we'll have some object that will contain connection to the database. And then we will pass this object from one class to another, sharing the same connection for all of the classes that we need. And the connection will be closed only at the end of program when the user exits the application. So we're going to use the same program that we had before, the same code base. I'll just create a new package. And I'll call it db javafx1. In here I will first use the example that we had for connect to DB, the example that retrieves all the data from the database. And I will add a fxml file here, a new fxml document, and I will have 3 windows. Main window, and then I will create 2 more windows. XML, view window 1, and I'll create another one, view window 2. In the main window, I'll create 2 buttons to open the other 2 windows. I'll use scene builder to modify fxml. So from containers, I will select regular pane, and I will put 2 buttons on the pane, 1 and 2. One button will say view 1, second button will say view 2, and I'll save the file. Changes saved to main window of XML. Go back here. I need to refresh this file, so when I opened it again, the file got refreshed. Now I need to modify my driver class to open up the window. So first, my driver class will extend application, save, and I will import this javafx application. Now I'm getting different error. Add unimplemented methods. Let me add that. And in this start, I need to add launch. So the launch will go to the main method. I will comment out the rest of the code. I don't need it right now. So the main method will start. It will call launch method. And I also need to update this part to actually create a window and display it to the user. I'll create a variable to hold the file name of the fxml file, the one that will create our first window. So main window fxml equals. In this case, I have to be careful not to make any mistakes. Window fxml. Now that I have that, I can create the root element. And it's going to be our root element. Loader. Resources, and here we need to provide our fxml file name. I need to import some of these classes. Okay, so now this root element, with the help of the root element, we'll create the scene. And provide the root element to the constructor. Now that we have the scene, let's set the primary stage with the scene. Alright, and finally we will instruct primary stage to show the view to the user. I will remove this exception from here, and I will actually just use try and catch. Like so. Surround all my code in try block, like this. And then if exception happens, I will print stack trace. Alright, now that this is done, we should be able to run this code and view our first window. Alright, I can see the view with the two buttons. Right now the buttons are not doing anything because I did not write any code for it. So first I need to create a controller. Class main controller. And I will add interface initializable from javafx. Alright, now that I have this controller here, I will create two event handlers. So when the user clicks on the buttons, something will happen. And in this particular case, we will open another window. I need to create a method. Right, I have to annotate it with fxml. I need to import this annotation. And also this method will receive action event. Let's import this as well, javafx. Alright, and at the beginning I'm not going to write any difficult code yet. I just want to see if I can see the button event. Let me put something. It's window 1, and let me create another method for the second button. I will call it 2, and in this case I will display number 2 in the console. Alright, let me run this again. This time still nothing is happening because even though I've written some code for the controller, I did not update my fxml file. So this is what I'm going to do next. For view 1, click, I will call, first I need to add the controller. So let's find the controller. I do not see the controller here. I think I need to close this and reopen it again. Alright, so now I see the controller, and now that I have added the controller to the fxml file, I can see the button events. So for button view 1, I will select this option, this event handler, and for button view 2, I'll select the other one, open view 2 button event. Alright, now save the file, go back here and refresh this. Alright, so now I see something changed in this file. Okay, now that this is refreshed, I can try running this code again. When I click view 1, I see 111 in my console. When I click view 2, I see 222 in my console. So this means my controller is connected to fxml file and my event handlers are working when user clicks the button. Let me kill the application. So now in my main controller, I will create the queries object. Let me go back to the driver. So now the queries object will not happen there. I will move it to the controller. I don't want to have it in the driver class anymore. So when the user clicks open view 1 button event, like this, I will create the other window and then I will pass this queries object there. But this queries object, before I do that, I'll declare it here. And when this constructor is called, as you remember, the connection object will be created at that time. So I don't need this part, but I do need to create, I need to write some code to create the new window. So I will need stage, new stage, and import stage from fxml libraries. I'll create a string that will hold the fxml file name equals, and in this case the fxml file name is view window 1.fxml. Let me bring the fxml loader and some other things from the driver class right here, so I don't have to retype everything. Okay, and I still need the root and the scene. I'll just modify it slightly differently. So I will create fxml loader here instead. Like so. So I will need the parent, and I also want to create a controller so I can pass some information to the second controller. In this case, I don't have the controller yet, so I have to create one. View 1 controller. I might as well create the other controller as well. View 2 controller. Alright, I'll take some code from this controller, implements initializable, and add unimplemented methods. Do the same for the other controller. So before I go any further, I'll actually see if I can view the windows without the controller first. I need to handle this exception here. Possible exception. All right, now that we have this, I'll try to run the code again and see if I can view the first window. So the first window is working. The second one, I only can see the click and nothing else. So if I move this code into my second event handler, then my second window should also be working. Let me run the code again. View 1, view 2. So both windows are working. Oh, I didn't modify which file is being called. So right here, the second file. Let me make sure I can see the differences of these two files being opened. So I'll just add a label to my window. Okay, a label, view 1, and save the file. And here I will have view 2. And save. Let me refresh the files here. All right, I think both are good now. And let's run it again. When I click view 1, I see it displaying view 1 label. When I click view 2, I see the label is saying view 2. Okay, so far so good. Now we need to connect the controllers to our second and third windows. After we create and set the scene, we will ask the loader to create the controller. So for the first window, the controller name is view1 controller. Alright, and for the controller, we'll create method pass object with connection. And this is the object that has our connection. That's what we're going to pass here. Right now this method does not exist, but I have suggestion here to create this method. I will select the suggestion and I'll remove auto generated code. Save. All right. I did this for view controller 1, but I need to do the same type of code for the second controller, the second window. And again, I need to create this method. Okay, save. Right now, this method is not doing anything. I can just print out some line from controller 2. Copy that. Go to controller 1 and put a statement from controller 1. Let's run this code again. I'm suspecting I'm going to have an error, but let's take a look at it. When I click on view 1, I'm getting exception. It says null pointer exception, open view, open one button event. If I go here, it's at the controller level. So right now, controller, if I run it in debug mode, I'll put a debug point right here and select this little bug here to run in debug mode. When I click view 1, the windows for debugging will open, and I'm right here at this debug point that I created. If I hover over the controller element, controller object, I can see that it is null. So that's where I'm getting my null pointer exception. I'm trying to call some method on a null object, so it's giving me null pointer exception. If I click finish running, I'll get the exception again. Okay, here's null pointer exception again. So the reason why it's happening is because I haven't added the controllers to my fxml files. So when those controllers are being invoked on this fxml, on this Windows, they cannot be mapped. They cannot be found in this controller. So what I need to do is open each fxml file in Scene Builder and attach appropriate controller. So this is my view window 1. So I will attach controller view 1 controller and save. And I have to do the same for view window 2. And save the file and close it. Refresh it. Refresh this one as well. Now let's run it again. Okay, when I click view 1, everything is working and I'm getting this message from controller 1. When I click view 2, I'm getting message from controller 2 and the window 2 is coming up. Okay, so now that we have two windows working, we can start them from our main window. Now we want to retrieve some information and display it in those two windows. So I need to modify first I need to modify my controllers. So here I'm passing object queries that has our connection. So in order for this object to be accessible globally, I need to create another variable here The type is going to be queries, and the name is going to be queries. But I'm not going to instantiate this object, because every time you instantiate, you create a new object. What I'm going to do is I will assign or point this object that is here, this guy. I will say you're using that object that I'm passing here. So it's just pointing to the same object now. Okay, so now if I start working with this queries object anywhere in this class, it will be working. In my case, I need some maybe text area to display information to the user. I need annotation at fxml, private text area, text area info, and let's import javafx libraries, classes that we need. Okay, now that this is done, now I can call the queries. I'll actually call it from the same place here, and I will get all items, and I'll store them in the list of people. Sorry, it should be person. I need to import a list from javautil. Oh, sorry, we're working on paper object. Okay, so papers, and I will create a string info that initially will be set to empty string, but for each paper that I get, from papers collection, I will update this info string. Info. All right, I'll go to paper here, and I'll modify this by adding new line instructions. So each new paper would be added as a new item in a new row. Okay, let's go back here. After this is done, I will update text area info. I will set text with the string that I have here at the end. If nothing would be found, then the empty string will be set here. All right, save the file, and let's open view window 1 fxml, and we need to create some text area here. Right now we do not have it. Text area. All right, and I need to find the ID associated with this text area. I have it right here, text area info. Now that this is done, save the file, close it, refresh it, clear the console, and let's run it again. Clicking view 1, and I see all the items here, and I have a scroller here to look to see the beginning or end of the entries. So the view 1 is working. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing for view 2. Right now view 2 is not working. The idea here that I'm showing is that you can pass the same connection to multiple windows and reuse the same connection. However, in each window you can have different functionality. It doesn't have to be the same view the values again. You can do update in another window, create another window with delete functionality, and so on. But keep passing the same queries object everywhere. Let's go back here. So for view controller 2, let's go here. I don't have the queries object yet, private. Let me just copy it from the other one, since we already created this, and we'll need another text area again. All right, and the logic, I will also duplicate the logic just like here. Now I need to update second window. I need to add text area. Can make this view a little bit bigger, like so. Don't forget to save the file, and now I can close it, clear the console, refresh the file, and let's run it. View 1, I'm getting all the data. View 2, I'm also getting all the data. So I'm not getting any exceptions. Everything is working fine. You can see this red button here. This means that your program is still running. When I close the window, the program ends. The connection gets disconnected from the database.